mic I'm supposed to use. Sure, they're pretty golden. Do we have all the children? How about some older children? Get any older children that need to come down here? Well, I'm going to tell you a story about a little boy named Jimmy. I wasn't quite as big as you are, but kind of in between. How old are you? Just, oh no, I was a little bit. I was about 3.5, maybe 4 years old. That was me I'm telling the story on. And I lived just about 35 miles south of here. We lived out in the country. No electricity, no running water. We had our little house with the moon on the door. So I had had my nap. It was a hot, hot summer day. Real hot. And I had just got up from my nap, and my mother was taking a cold washcloth and kind of wiping me down. I had a little shorts on, little plaid shorts. And my cousin lived right across the little creek, kind of on a little hill right by us. And I was wanting to go play. And my mother she started telling me, Jimmy, now you watch out for snakes. The snakes are out at this time of the year. It's really bad. I said, okay, Mom. And she told me 4, 5, or 6 times, maybe 7. I mean, she just kept saying, son, Jimmy, watch out for snakes. And I said, okay, Mom, okay, Mom. Well, once she got through wiping me down, I started for the screen door, and I was on the run. I wanted to get across the creek and up the hill where my cousin lived. So I took out the back door, and the last thing I heard my mother say was, Jimmy, watch out for snakes. I said, okay, and out the door I went. There was a little path that went up, and then made it kind of a little turn, and it squared off on this little foot log. The foot log was about 12 inches wide. It was a tree that had been sawed, and it was the flat side up so you could get across the creek. And I was running, my little legs was just churning. I mean, I was flying. I was probably doing 90 miles an hour, plus or minus a couple. And I started across, I squared off on that foot log. I wasn't even going to slow up. I just kept running. I got halfway across the foot log, and there he was. He was about that long, maybe this long. But it was, I knew what it was. It was a copperhead laying right at the edge of the end of the foot log. I couldn't stop. If I'd have tried to stop hard as I was running, I would have been off in the creek. And that snake would have been right in there on me, and I knew it. I was scared to death. So I thought, well, all I can do is jump over it. And so I just gave it all the energy and the strength that I had. And I leaped as high as I could, probably about 30 miles. And I went about 30 miles, and when I was up at the highest point, I let out a blood-curdling scream, Copperhead, Copperhead! And at that instant, my Aunt Robbie, she was a big woman, big bone, not heavy, not a big heavy one. She was strong. And she always kept this garden hoe right at the back door. When she came out of that, off of her porch, out that door, she grabbed that garden hoe, and down the hill she came just right about 2 leaps, and she was down there. And she started swinging that garden hoe, and I tell you what, she could swing a mean hoe. You know what the snake looked like when she got through chopping? You know what a pile of hamburger meat looks like? It's kind of in little bitty pieces and piled up. Well, that's what that snake looked like. And my aunt put her arm around me, pulled me over closer, and she said, Jimmy, that old snake won't hurt you now. And I said, not in his condition, he won't hurt me. Now, who do you think was telling my mother to tell me to watch out for snakes? Who do you think? Was it Jesus? Was Jesus telling my mother to tell? Because he knew that snake was laying right out there. The devil had that snake right out there in my path, waiting on me. Now, You know why he was cautioning my mother to tell my mother? Because he had something for me to do late in my life, like I'm doing now, telling people about Adventist World Radio that's taking the message to places where missionaries can't go. Thank you for coming up. You can go back to your seats.